Hello guys, welcome to my new video. Today I will show you how I created this Kylian Mbappe football poster. You can find the PSD and many other free assets in my Gumroad store and the link will be in the description. So the first thing we're going to do is open up a new project. So file, new. The settings we are going to use are 1080 by 1350 and the resolution can stay default 72. So the first thing we need is the player photos. You can find football renders on the internet or you can cut them out yourself. I found these ones on Footy Renders website. So we got this one right here and this one. So let's first position them how we want so it looks nice. I will try to copy the original poster I did as much as I can. I think it's something like this. So after you position them, the first thing we should do is decide where the light will be coming from, and on my poster the light is coming from the left top side, something like this. So the position of the light is important because everything else is going to be based around it. So all the highlights and shadows will be made based on this light right here. So the technique I use to light the players is creating a 50% gray fill, so let's do that. So create a new layer, pick the color and make it 50% gray, fill the screen, make it overlay and create a clipping mask on the player. We can hide the other one right now. Now what you're gonna do is use dodge and burn tool to make the highlights brighter and the shadows darker. And this tool allows you to edit highlights, midtones and shadows, so you can pick what you're gonna be editing. So I'm going to first light the parts that are going to be on the left side because the light is positioned on the top left. So select the dodge tool, select the highlights, make the hardness really low and start brushing. You can see basically it lights up the image, and I think this side is gonna be lit up, a little bit of his legs, maybe on the shoulders a little bit, also his arm and the head as well. So you can already see the difference. It's a really nice technique to use. And then we can use burn tool, select the shadows and brush a little bit of the darker parts. But yeah, we are basically done with this one, so let's do the same thing on the other one. So create a 50% gray fill, overlay it and select the overlay, blend mode, and just do the same thing with the dodge tool and burn tool. So brighten up the parts on the left and burn the parts that are going to be darker. So there is one more technique we can use to bump up the highlights and darken the shadows. So click select color range and here select from the drop down menu, select the highlights and click OK, and after that create a new layer, new adjustment layer, brightness and contrast, and here you can just bump up the brightness and the highlights will go up like you can see, or if you want to darken them they will be darker. I usually just bump it up a little bit just so you can notice it. And you can do the same thing with the shadows. So once again select color range, click on the shadows, click OK, new adjustment layer, brightness and contrast, and you can just drop the brightness on this one also just so it's noticeable, but all of this is just subjective, so do it to your liking. So after you've done that on both of the players, we can move on. Now we can add some camera raw filters, so click on filter and camera raw. And here I like to just increase the clarity a little bit and also add some sharpening, and you can also add some contrast. And do the same thing on the other render as well. So filter, camera raw filter. Bump up the contrast a little bit, clarity, and also the sharpening. Also, adding camera raw filter can be done at the end to the whole poster, but I don't want all those effects being on the background stuff as well. So right now we should add some lights. So you will take a brush, make it really big and the hardness really low, so slide it all the way to the 0% and use white color probably, and make the light on top of the second render, not the one in front, and just click and go back until you get it right, until you like it. So I like this should be good. After that, create a new layer, and now we're gonna use a gradient tool and we're going to make it go from white to blank. So transparent, just delete this one and put it to opacity 0. And now we're going to drag it from bottom left to top right. So in the original poster it's something like this. Make sure you have the linear gradient selected and not the circle one. So linear gradient, and just drag it up until you like it. So this should probably do the job. So after this we are going to create a shadow, and I'm going to use a technique which probably some people will hate, but it's the easiest in this case. So just duplicate this render, clear it from all the filters, rasterize it, and now what you're going to do is color it. So double click, color overlay, and make it black. Go to filter, blur, and go to Gaussian blur. Make it around 10. And now what you're gonna do is transform it and just drag it to the bottom so it flips. And since the light is on the top left, so basically it's coming like this, and the shadow should also go in that direction. After that, just drop the opacity down, and we should probably blur it a bit more. So just play with the settings until you like them. I like this. Right now we can just adjust the colors of the jerseys a little bit. So let's add a new adjustment layer, hue and saturation, and let's play around. My colors in the original poster were a bit different, so they were a bit more cyan than blue, and also the oranges on the face were a bit more red, so something around this. Maybe bump the saturation a little bit. So we can see that this jersey is a little bit different color than this one, and we can fix that by making another adjustment layer, hue and saturation, and we are gonna clipping mask it just to this render right here. And if you want to edit just one color, click this and click on that color. So we're gonna click on this cyan color, or it's blue, whatever. And now we can drag it to the left or to the right. So I'm gonna drag it to the left so it matches a little bit more to the color of this one. And yeah, that should be right. One tip I can also give you is name your layers. It will be much easier in the later steps, so you can easily find the layer you need. So the next step after this should be adding text. So I'm going to use a font called Georgia. So let's take Georgia bold and write down Mbappe. And the color we will use is going to be some golden one. So let's do this from the original poster. And let's duplicate that layer, type Killian. And we are gonna write it in regular, not bold. Make it a little bit smaller. And also I will adjust the spacing between the letters here, just so it looks nicer. Let me just copy it from the original poster really quick. Okay, so this is how it looks in the original poster. It's a little bit smaller than I did it. And we can also add the Nike logo. So let's drag it somewhere around here. And let's add it to the background as well. So just drag it to the bottom, scale it up, and drop the opacity down, something like this. After we are done with that, I also added some bokeh lights in the original poster, so you will need a brush for this or just find some on the internet. I'm going to use these ones. I have no idea where I got them, but they work. And we're gonna color pick, let's say this, and just drop it and see what looks good. You can also just make one and delete all the other ones, and then repeat the process. I'm not sure how they were in the original poster, so let me grab them really quick. Okay, so in the original poster they were like this. I had one in the bottom, a little bit smaller. Then I had two on the sides and one in the top left. And in the end I added some particles, so just put it to screen mode. You can also get them somewhere on the internet. I think mine were somewhere around the player here, like this. And also I like to add noise to all my stuff. I don't know why, I just like noise. So make a new black fill layer, filter noise, and add, and just add a little bit so it's barely noticeable. Let's add 3 for example, and put it to screen so you can barely tell the difference. Let's see it on the darker parts. Yeah, you can barely tell the difference, but I like it. And this is basically it. For the final step, you can just group everything, flatten it out, convert it to a smart object, and add camera raw filter if you want. You can add a little bit more sharpening in the end if you like, and some more clarity. But this is all subjective, so play around with it until you're happy. You can also change colors around here, so you can basically change the blues totally. You can make it green, purple, whatever you want. You can play with the oranges, whatever you like, and just mess around with it until you're happy. So this is it, guys. Thanks for watching. The PSD and the project files will be down in the description. Just check out my Gumroad store. There's a bunch of free stuff on there, also some paid stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.